joining us for Liberty Online today. We are super excited for next week as we will be meeting in person once again for our super special one-off Vision Sunday. Let's put a stake in the ground and choose to be part of Liberty Church's history in the making. Liberty Church has been waiting for over 20 years for our own building, and it's now happening. The unseen is going to soon be seen, but we need your help to do that. We currently have the finance to purchase the building, but need to raise £10,000 next week to refurbish the space into something more us. A place that you will be excited to invite your friends to. We are striving for the sale to go through as soon as possible and to get the works done to be ready to launch at the end of June. Ready for our 21st birthday and when lockdown rules are finally lifted. We would love for you to join us next Sunday for Vision Sunday and the opportunity to give into the offering. If you cannot make it in person and want to give, then please visit our website libertycentre.org.uk where you can find out how to donate into our building fund. Well, it's now time to wrap up this series, so let's head over to Phil and the last message in the series, Unseen.
Well, thanks for joining us for Liberty Online this week, and we are in the last week of the series, The Unseen, and this week we've got a little subtitle for you as well called Blind Spots. And so, what I've learned, I think, over the years of being a human adult is that we all see things differently. We all see things differently, and I mean figuratively, and I mean physically as well. We have different vision. And so I was thinking about this and talking about it with Steph the other day about, does anyone remember the old Magic Eye pictures? The Magic Eye pictures that were like, if you don't know, I'll explain it to you, like a pattern of colours and shapes they were just like a mess. But if you could fix your eyes and stare through them and focus in the distance, you could actually, a picture would pop off of something else, or an animal or a car or anything else. And so there was a picture hidden within the picture. And I could do this really easy. They used to put them in like shop windows sometimes, didn't they? Some people have to. I had a book on this as well, but some people have to put it by their nose like this, and then slowly move it away until it comes into focus. Where I could naturally just move my eyes like a camera in and out of focus, and it would pop off the page straight away. And Steph used to be really irritated by this because she still can't do it. She can't see any of the pictures in the Magic Eye. She thinks it's some sort of conspiracy where there are no pictures and everyone's making it up. But we all see differently, or we all see different figuratively and physically. We have different vision. And so, like, for me, when I go to the opticians, I always come out and they're like, perfect, 20/20 vision, you're great, don't need anything. Where Steph's vision, she's ever slightly, I think it was long-sighted. I think for a little while she was supposed to be wearing glasses for driving, I think, perhaps, but she chose not to, and so that's why she keeps hitting things. And so, more on that later. So some of you might think, well, Phil, you've obviously got the better vision, right? You're better at seeing. And well, yeah, I guess that's right. Unless it's very bright or it's very dark. Because even though I've got technically perfect vision, if I go, I don't know if it's because I've got such light blue eyes, I don't know what the mechanics of behind it are, but if I go out in the bright sun without sunglasses, I'm like a blind man. Honestly, I might as well have a dog or a stick or a helper. I need a helper to get me around, and Steph finds this hilarious. Anytime I walk out, like in Bury St Edmunds, I come out of the Apex shopping centre and the sun's out because it's got quite a light-coloured floor. Literally, I can't see anything. It is literally just all white. And so I can't see anything. I sneeze in the sun comes out, it makes me sneeze. Anytime I buy sunglasses, I'll buy 4 sets at a time from Poundland because I break them because I'm clumsy. But if I don't have them, I literally can't see. It's ridiculous. Where Steph, she can stare directly at the sun. You're not even supposed to be able to do that, but she can. And the opposite end of the spectrum as well is in dark rooms as well. My night vision is awful. Steph used to make fun of me because, like, we've had 4 kids now, and so, like, when baby cries, and this isn't an excuse, honestly, I'm not just being a man and making an excuse. If it's dark in the baby's room and I'd go in, it would take me like 20 minutes fumbling around to even find where the baby was in the cot. I can't see anything, and I mean zero. And Steph will be like, huff, as she walks past me and just goes directly to the baby and picks baby up. And I'm like, how could you even see? Well, I couldn't even see you. And so we all see differently. And not only that, we all have blind spots. We all have blind spots. Things we can't see from where we're positioned. Things we can't see right now, perhaps, that we will perhaps come to see later. Or things that are obvious and clearly visible that others can see, perhaps nearly everybody else can see. But we happen to, at the moment, it fall into one of our blind spots. And so I've got a story from just a couple of weeks ago when we were filming, actually. In this very room, me and Steph done an interview with Kaylee. And I'm not even sure the people in the room know about this, but as Steph left that filming, she decided, she was parked just down the side of the Carnegie Room here, and she decided that she would drive into a gate post that's on the road there. And so she hit the back corner of our car on this post. She didn't see the post. She was in a rush to get home, but she didn't see the post. It was in her blind spot. It wasn't in her blind spot. She just actually didn't see it at all. And I checked this morning when I came in, and there is my car's paint all down the side of that post. No judgment, though. I'm not saying anything about women drivers, because we've both done very similar things that have been ridiculous. We both, in our house, we have both reversed our car out of our driveway into another car that's parked on the road behind us. We've done that a few months apart. Obviously, I didn't tell her off the first time when she done it, so that it wasn't so bad when I done it. And so we've both reversed. And the way our drive is, it sort of goes up a slight hill and then down a hill, and there's a big hedge around it. And our car is massive, and the visibility on it's not very good. And so there are massive blind spots. And on both occasions, someone had parked their car behind our car on the drive. When Steph done it, that car was there the whole time. I just want to make that clear. So she could have seen it the whole time, but it was in her blind spot when she was in the car. Me, it was when I started reversing, someone pulled up and stopped in the spot, so it's not as bad. And so, but we both had blind spots in the same situation. We had a blind spot. Them cars fell into our blind spot, and so we both reversed into them cars and smashed them up, because our car is the size of a planet. It's a huge car, and we hit these tiny little cars. But we all have blind spots in life, in the natural, in the spiritual. There's a great story in 2 Kings, and I don't believe I've ever read from this. 2 Kings 6, a little story about Elisha. And it says this from verse 8. When the king of Aram was at war with Israel, he would confer with his officers and say, "We will mobilize our forces at such a place." And in verse 9 it says, "But immediately Elisha, the man of God, would warn the king of Israel." And so there wasn't a spy involved or anything. It's just God, through his spirit, through the prophet, would inform Elisha. And so Elisha would then go and tell the king. And it says that Elisha would go to the king and say, "Do not go near that place, for the Arameans are planning to mobilize their troops there." So the king of Israel would send word to the place indicated by the man of God. Time and again, Elisha warned the king. So this happened over and over and over again, so that he would be on the alert there. The king of Aram became very upset over this. You can imagine, you're putting all these plans together. Every time they're foiled, it's like somebody's grassing on you or leaking information. But it says he became very upset over time. And he called his officers together and demanded, "Which of you is a traitor? Who has been informing the king of Israel of my plans?" And it says this, "It is not us, my lord the king." One of the officers replied, "Elisha, the prophet in Israel, tells the king of Israel even the words you speak in the privacy of your bedroom." And this is before, phones. This is before Google, before Twitter, before Facebook, before all the different tech companies had the ability to hear and tap into your phones. This is just God using the Wi-Fi system of the day to let Elisha know what was going on. He could hear even the private conversations in his bedroom. And it says this in verse 13, "Go and find out where he is," the king commanded, "so I can send troops to seize him." And the report came back, "Elisha is at Dothan." So one night the king of Aram sent a great army with many chariots and horses to surround the city. Verse 15 says, when the servant of the man of God got up early, so Elisha's servant, it said, when the servant of the man of God got up early the next morning and went outside, there were troops, horses, and chariots everywhere. And he said to Elisha, "Oh, sir, what will we do now?" This young guy cried out to Elisha. And Elisha said to him, "Don't be afraid." Elisha told him, "For there are more on our side than on theirs." And this servant must have looked around like, "It's just me and you and a few other fellas. There's definitely not more on our side." And it says this in verse 17, that then Elisha prayed, "O Lord, open his eyes and let him see." The Lord opened the young man's eyes, and when he looked up, he saw that the hillside around Elisha was filled with horses and chariots of fire, a spiritual army. A ceremonial army advanced towards him. Elisha prayed, "Oh Lord, please make them blind." So this army started advancing towards them. And Elisha prayed not only that he wasn't just have confidence about this spiritual army that was surrounding all of their army, but it says, "Oh Lord, please make them blind." So the Lord struck them in blindness as Elijah had asked. Then Elisha went out and told them, "You've come the wrong way. You're in the wrong place, mate. This isn't the right city. Follow me. I'll take you to the man you're looking for." And he led them to the city of Samaria. And it ends up, he asks, prays to God to have their vision back. And they're in a bit of a pickle. It looks like they're going to get all killed. And he says no. And he actually feeds them and sends them on their way. And they never come back again. And so what an amazing story. You know, a story of perhaps Elijah didn't see in the natural what was coming, and his servant come and told him. And then Elisha showing his servant something in the spiritual that he wasn't able to see. And it got me thinking that for me and for you is this simple point that sometimes you won't see it. Sometimes you won't see it. Because we all have blind spots. We're all not able to see what is there sometimes, good or bad. Sometimes we just won't see it. Sometimes you'll be like the servant and you need someone to show you what you can't see. And I mean in the spiritual, and I mean even in the natural. And so I think we all know this, and we know this about ourselves. And so I want to ask you a question. I want you to ask yourself this question. Who has your blind spots covered? You know, when you've got a big vehicle and you're reversing, you know, you see it all the time with guys in high vis, and they're bringing back a lorry or something, and they're making sure all the blind spots are covered. Who has your blind spots covered when you're maneuvering through life? I'm not calling you a big vehicle that needs a beep, beep when you walk backwards. I wouldn't say that about you on camera. Who has your blind spots covered? Because I think, you know, we talked about this in the last few weeks about friends and relationships sharpening each other, but we need other people because we have blind spots in the spiritual or the natural. And I want to ask, you know, when your life is close to a dangerous place, who's there to make you aware? When you're in a place where you're completely unaware that there's an army surrounding you, whatever that looks like, do you have someone like Elisha? Not just pointing out the dangers, but helping maneuver you through your life. Have you built relationships that have permission to shout out danger at you, just like the servant shouted to Elisha? Have you got people in your life who can shout out danger at you, but also to reveal your blind spots and make you see the unseen? Because I think we need to, and I think this is key, is we need to position for our blind spots. Position for your blind spots. And I think as a church, we do this organically in our relationships, but we also try and do it collectively in our connect groups. We try and build relationships with people, turning strangers into family so that we can position for our blind spots in our life, so that others can reflect things into places in our life that perhaps we haven't even looked into before. And the way I think about it, it's just like a bad junction or a driveway that's on a blind spot or on a corner. You know, you see it sometimes in country roads, and opposite somebody's house, they'll have a mirror outside on the road, a concave or convex mirror on the road, so they can see round the corners. They position something for their blind spots, their individual blind spots. You have individual blind spots that are individual and specific to you. And have you positioned people in your world to reveal them areas to you? We even have them on our rear view mirrors, don't we? Usually have a normal a mirror on our wing mirrors, of our car. We have the normal mirror, and then we'll have a little smaller mirror that sometimes shows us our blind spot. I think we've even got them on our car, Steph. We didn't position them right. But we need to position people in our world to see our blind spots, to reveal information that's in our blind spots, to see things that we can't see. We need an Elisha who can make us see what we are blind to. You know, in the story that I talked about, not the one where Steph crashed into the pole outside, but when we both reversed out of our own driveway, we couldn't see the cars in our blind spot when we reversed into them. But we could see them when we got out. And that's the thing, like, these things were in our blind spot, but they were let me put it in context. These cars were about the size of a car. How can you miss a car? But our blind spot, although quite small in the mirror, can hide something so massive. And the same with our life. You know, it can be a little blind spot, but can hide something so big. It wasn't until we got out of the car, where we were removed from our own environment of the driver's seat, that we could see what was or used to be in our blind spot. And by that point, it was too late. I'd already smashed into the neighbor's car. You couldn't miss them. But in that moment, we couldn't see them. And in that moment, in that story in Scripture, Elisha's servant couldn't see what was there or what was coming. And yet Elisha knew what was coming. Elisha could see. And I think for your life, and definitely my life, with every big mistake, however you might define that in your life, someone probably saw it coming. Someone in your world probably saw it coming, even if it's someone you don't like, just someone close to you who had a different perspective to you. Probably someone saw it coming. And like Elisha's servant, and like Elisha, there's probably someone who knows the way out of it as well. That might not be the same person, but if you've not positioned them in your life, I want to warn you, you will hit the post. Or you will reverse into your neighbour's car. And I'm not talking just in the practical car parking sense. I mean in our life, that we will hit posts and we will reverse into people's cars. We will do damage in our life. We'll lose our no claims bonus. Because sometimes you won't see it. And let's flip to the other side of the coin and say this. Sometimes you may be the only one who can see. Sometimes you might be the only one who can see. Elisha in this story could see things that others couldn't. He could see the unseen. And what I love about Elisha, he didn't allow those who had blind spots to influence him. His servant came and screamed, "Danger! We're surrounded!" But Elisha could see, and what he didn't do is allow someone who was blind to make him feel fear. He even said to him, "Don't be afraid. Chill out, bro. It's fine. We're not in any danger. God's got it covered." He didn't allow someone else's blindness or the things that they couldn't see impact him or influence him. He knew what he saw. You know, I know what I've seen for our church. You know, our church is and is becoming more and more so a hub in the region. And can I tell you, it doesn't matter that some others can't see it. It doesn't. It doesn't matter that other people can't see it. It's not that I'm delusional. It's just they can't see it. It's a blind spot to them. And so sometimes in your life, you will be like Elisha, where others simply will not see what you can see. We might have a vision or a dream or something that nobody else shares or no one else can see or see the path to or see it happening. But they're just blind to the things that you can see. What do you do then? Because perhaps it's the majority of people in the majority of cases where this is when you ever vocalize a vision or a dream or something you can see in your mind that isn't visible in the now. Because like Elisha's servant, he didn't see it initially, and probably on most other occasions didn't see most of what Elisha saw. There were probably many other people around who didn't see and couldn't ever see and didn't ever see what Elisha saw. And I want to say to you that God will not reveal everything to everyone all the time. And I want to say that's okay. You know, just like the magic eye picture I talked about and opened up with, there'll be some people who can see it like that without even trying. And there'll be other people who will never be able to see it. And I want to say this is, you know, if you had a book, a magic eye book, or like me and Steph, just because Steph can't see it doesn't mean I rip up the book. Just because your mate can't see it, you don't tear up the magic eye picture. You just acknowledge, don't you, that well, you just can't see the thing that I can see. And so I want to say this: don't let others' blind spots blind you. Don't let other people's blind spots blind you. Don't stop other people not being able to see something. Stop you seeing it, even if just in your spirit. And we know this in the natural. Just because they can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And it doesn't mean it won't come to fruition. So maybe at the minute in your life, you might feel a bit like an Elisha, and you see things that others don't. You know, and it talks about in Joel, the prophet Joel wrote about this. He says, I will pour out my spirit upon all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. And I know that many of you, people in this room and people who are watching at home, many of you have visions and dreams for your life and for our church and for our community. And you cannot see them manifested right now. You don't see them actually happening right now because you see the unseen. And maybe you've been waiting a long time, whatever that is in your life, that dream and that vision that you have for your life or for your life within Liberty Church. Maybe you've been waiting a long time for the unseen thing that you can see in your mind. You know, we're talking about it a lot recently, but Liberty have been waiting for a building for nearly 21 years in June. And I want to encourage you, just because you can't see it now doesn't mean you won't see it soon. Just because you can't see it now in reality doesn't mean you won't see it soon. And practically, I can't see our physical, finished, refurbished church building yet. I can't see it with my human eyes, but I see it in my spirit, and we're stepping toward that reality. So I want to say, don't let what something looks like now stop you seeing what you know it is to become. So again, I say, like I said on week 1, let's focus on the unseen. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm talking about a church building right now, but it can be in a relationship of yours. It can be in your business. It could be in a marriage. It could be with a child. It could be within a ministry. It could be something that's God's placed in your spirit to do. Doesn't matter what it is, but focus on the unseen. I want to encourage you to focus on what you cannot see now, not on what you can see right now, but what you see in the future and what you see in eternity. And we'll finish this series with this little snippet that we started on. 2 Corinthians 4, 16-18 says this: Therefore, we do not give up. I want to encourage you, do not give up. Even though our outer person is being destroyed, our inner person is being renewed day by day. For our momentary light affliction is producing for us an absolutely incomparable eternal weight of glory. Verse 18, so we do not focus on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Amen. Well, thank you for joining us for Liberty Online this week, and thank you for this, for tuning in for 3 weeks of this Unseen series. We shall see you lovely people next week.
Thank you for joining us today. We pray you can join us next week in person, 10:45 a.m. on Sunday the 4th of April. That's Easter Sunday, for our special Vision Sunday and our Building Fund offering. I hope to see you then. Bye for now.